Hello and a very warm welcome back to my YouTube channel. Now, of all the regions I have covered in Italy, I have to admit Campania was the most difficult in finding cheap places where to buy property. Now, unfortunately, the most popular places in the region are very expensive when it comes to buying property. If we take popular places such as Positano or Capri, prices are really sky high, with Positano at well over 10,000 euros per square meter and Capri at around 9,000 euros per square meter. Now, the whole Amalfi Coast is very expensive, with Amalfi and Sorrento at over 6,000 euros per square meter on average, Ravello at about 6,000 euros per square meter, and even lesser known towns such as Maiori and Minori, prices are over 5,000 euros per square meter on average. Now, Ischia and Procida Islands were around 3,500 euros per square meter, so a bit cheaper, but not really cheap. And in all honesty, all these places are not particularly easy to get to. So the Amalfi Coast, it's really not great if you don't have a car. Getting there by transport isn't great. Now, Salerno was also not very cheap either, and in the nicer parts of Naples, such as Margellina, Chiaia, Vomero and Posillipo, property prices are also expensive. Now, although Pompeii and Ercolano are important archaeological sites, the towns in themselves are not particularly attractive or cheap. Pompeii is nearly 2,500 euros per square meter on average, and Ercolano is nearly 2,000 euros per square meter on average. But I did come up with 5 places in Campania which I think are actually good value for money when buying property. And as you can see, coming in at number 5 is Capua. Now, situated 25 kilometers north of Naples and with a population of around 18,000, Capua is a lovely small town on the river Volturno. It is steeped in history and there are many tourist attractions within the town, including a cathedral dating back to the 9th century, an amphitheatre, numerous churches worth visiting, a very noteworthy museum containing important artifacts, and many archaeological sites. Now, the archaeological sites and the amphitheatre are just outside the city. Now, although Capua is a small town, you will find all the basics here, all the basic facilities, and there are some good eateries as well. The centre is nice enough with a 16th century town hall, but best of all, property prices on average are less than 800 euros per square metre. That is very cheap. And if you need to get to Naples, there are some direct trains during the day which take less than an hour and cost less than 4 euros. So I think that's pretty good value for money. But I think in general, Capua would suit somebody who likes to live in a small town, but occasionally would want to get to a big city if they need to do some business there. For example, Naples. Now, coming in at number 4 is, I think, a lovely city, and it is a city of Benevento. Now, 50 kilometers north of Naples and with a population of around 58,000, Benevento is a very elegant city where property prices on average are only 1,100 euros per square meter. Benevento is a city rich in historical attractions. In the town centre, you have a splendid cathedral from around the 13th century. The Roman theatre, built in the Hadrian era, is very well preserved and used for theatre performances. The Arch of Traiano is yet another famous monument in the city. But it doesn't end there. The Church of Santa Sofia, dating back to 760, is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and there are many other beautiful churches dating back from periods including Gothic and Baroque, and these churches are pretty much all worth visiting. The city is also known for the famous Battle of Benevento in 1266. And Benevento also has a football team which plays in the second tier of Italian football, and it's got actually a university as well. So there's no shortage of life here, and there's no shortage of good eateries in the city as well. And what's good about Benevento is that by train it will take 2 hours approximately to get to Rome or Naples. So that means it's pretty well connected, and it just takes over 2 hours to get to Bari as well. But overall, I think you would choose this city mainly for its elegance. As you can see here, the buildings are absolutely wonderful in the city, and you actually feel as though you're in a place like Vicenza in the north. Now, coming in at number 3 is Caserta. Now, located around 35 kilometers north of Naples and with a population of around 70,000 inhabitants, Caserta is a very nice city. It is famous for the Royal Palace of Caserta, which is a World UNESCO Heritage Site. And the Royal Palace of Caserta has 5 floors and 1,200 rooms, including a large library and a theatre modelled after the San Carlo Theatre in Naples. There is also a huge park here with many beautiful fountains and cascades. And the Royal Palace was actually modelled on the Royal Palace of Versailles. But in the city you also have a noteworthy cathedral and some nice churches, as well as some nice squares, including Piazza Matteotti and the main square, Piazza Vanvitelli, where you can find some good bars and eateries. Now, Caserta has a good nightlife scene, especially on warm evenings in the spring, summer and also autumn. And what I like as well, Caserta has a railway station which is a hub for regional and national traffic. Caserta has a top basketball team. It has a football team playing in the 4th tier of Italian football, and also part of a university is here as well, which has teaching subjects such as maths, physics, psychology and political science. So I think from that perspective, pretty good as well. Now, considering all this and the fact that it's only 30 kilometers away from Naples Airport, Capodichino, property prices, I think, are very reasonable at an average of only €1,500 per square meter. Now, coming in at number 2 is the city of Agropoli. With a population of around 21,000 and situated in the Cilento area of the province of Salerno on the Tyrrhenian Sea, Agropoli is a beautiful town, and it's actually a seaside town with a lot going for it. It is the gateway to the Cilento coast, and the Cilento National Park is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Now, although Agropoli only has 21,000 inhabitants, there is all year round activity in this town. There are lots of shops, restaurants, cafes around the town, and taking a walk along the waterfront is an absolute pleasure. Now, as with many other towns in South Italy, Agropoli is very laid back. The town has a castle which is the crowning feature of the old town, where exhibits and concerts are held. It also houses a museum, and there are also other museums which the town has, which are definitely worth a visit, and they have remains dating back to the Greek and Roman era. Now, there is also some noteworthy churches in the town as well. Now, transport-wise, Agropoli has a train station on the Salerno to Reggio Calabria line, and you can be in Naples in around an hour and 20 minutes. Agropoli also has a large tourist port with connecting ferries to Capri, Ischia, Naples and Salerno. Now, what I think here is an advantage. Property prices for such a beautiful town are quite reasonable. So we are talking around €1,800 per square meter on average. And I think this place would suit somebody who likes the laid back lifestyle, likes to go to the beach and likes to have some good eateries, but doesn't want to live in a particularly large town. Now, coming in at number 1, and I think this is going to shock you, is Sessa Aurunca. Now, I am sure many of you will be surprised that this town of approximately 21,500 inhabitants, 40 kilometers from Caserta and 30 kilometers from Formia, has made the #1 position. However, this is a really lovely town which straddles the border between Lazio and Campania. It is steeped in history and is only 10 minutes by car from the Mediterranean coast. Around the town you will find several interesting churches with some lovely artwork and an ornate cathedral dating back to the 12th century. You've also got a well-preserved ancient Roman theatre, a 10th century castle, and many other noteworthy attractions. Now, in and around the old town, you have shops, banks, cafes, and restaurants. And just outside the town, you have a nice regional nature park. So, very good from that perspective as well. Now, even if you don't have a car here, the town is very well connected by rail. You can be in the seaside town of Mondragone in only 6 minutes by rail and it will cost you only €2.20. Now, if you prefer to go to the seaside city of Formia in Lazio, it's actually only around 20 minutes by train and it's only going to cost you €2.30. I think these are significant advantages. And as far as getting to major cities, you've got Naples, which is just over an hour away, and depending on what train you take, you could be in Rome in less than 2 hours. So I think this place is very, very well connected. Now, considering all of these advantages, property prices are incredibly cheap here. So we are talking on average only €900 per square meter. Yes, less than €1,000 per square meter. And you can be at the seaside in a very short space of time. You've got a nice little town here. There are eateries, things to do. So I think for these reasons, Sessa Aurunca comes in position #1. But I'd love to know your thoughts. Would you be interested in any of these places, or would you have gone for other places? I would love to know your thoughts. Anyway, that's it for today. Thanks ever so much for watching, and I shall see you soon on the next video.